Time for the Morning Buzz. Influential radio host Charlamagne Tha God says that he will not endorse President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in 2024. Speaking to Politico, Charlamagne blasted Biden as a, quote, lousy messenger, saying he lacks basic political skills compared to former President Trump. The radio host says that he feels burned after supporting Harris back in 2020, calling her out for disappearing in the White House. Charlamagne also commenting about the backlash he receives for endorsing Biden and Harris, saying people come up to him all the time saying, damn, you told us to vote for them. Amber, your reaction?
I guess I'm not totally surprised. Charlamagne Tha God has been sort of a thorn in the side of the Biden administration for the past couple of years. He hosts this show called The Breakfast Club, and he has all of these viral moments that keep occurring. So he had Biden on his show. That was when the "you ain't black" comment was first made. Then he has Kamala Harris on the program and asked her during the negotiations over the Build Back Better legislation, who is the real president, Joe Biden or Joe Manchin? Kamala Harris pretends not to hear the question. Simone Sanders, her spokesperson at the time, swoops in and tries to end the interview. And so when you have situations like that on his program, you can't blame the guy for saying, maybe I got it wrong. These people are completely inauthentic and also probably lying about whatever they claimed to not hear about on the podcast.
Well, I mean, look, Ryan, Vice President Harris, she made history. First woman vice president, African American, Asian descent. I mean, she broke barriers, and there was a lot of hope for her to be the change agent. Again, she hit that glass ceiling. She broke it, which was great. But what Charlamagne said back in October 20, I'm just so tired of old white male leadership in politics. I believe she's a change agent, the leader that this country needs in the future. I mean, so he picked up on that and said, I'm excited and looking forward to someone to break these barriers. And she's failed him.
She really has. I mean, her approval ratings are just abysmal. They fall something like 7% over the course of the year. She was already at 41% going into the year, something like 36% now. And it's worse. The last time she had a net approval positive rating was back in June of 2021. That's a long time to have a bad rating. And I think it's just whenever she speaks, it does feel a bit hollow. Yeah. She doesn't know the issues. Kind of reminds me of those mid-level corporate managers I used to have back in the day in corporate America.
Amber, you're the political expert here. I mean, it really is about optics and about impressions. And does that person, that candidate or politician connect with people? And she's had a problem connecting the uncomfortable laugh in interviews, the discomfort, the awkward moments that we've seen from her in different speeches and events. And then don't get me started on the fact that they appointed her the border czar.
Right.
She didn't want to go to the border, and she hasn't done anything about the border.
I do think that you can overcome a charisma problem as a politician if you are competent. And in this case, it's a very big if. At the same time, you also have to say that President Joe Biden and members of the White House team have, I think, sort of intentionally tried to hamstring her by giving her the border issue. Obviously, no border policy is going to change to help secure the border under the Biden administration. Then they put her in charge of this massive federal overtaking of voting rights, which was sure to fail. And so repeatedly, they've sort of given her these tasks that she was unable to really do anything about. You combine that with the fact that she is generally incompetent, generally bad at public speaking, and it's just a disaster.
So you alluded to this a few moments ago, but basically they're setting her up to fail.
I think that's exactly what's happening. And I mean, if you go back to the beginning of the Biden administration, you see that First Lady Jill Biden was not a fan of Kamala. She was still quite unhappy about the fact that Kamala alluded to Biden being a racist during one of the early Democratic primary debates. They allegedly had a huge fight about that in the White House. And so it wouldn't surprise me if members of Biden's team are sort of gaming out, how do we give the vice president the tasks that might make the president look bad, and sort of offshore that blame and criticism to her.
Yeah, well, that debate stage when she famously went after Joe Biden about the busing issue,
yes.
and basically confronted him on that. It's interesting how much politics does change, but it comes down to, as you know, kitchen table issues, the issues that we're seeing, and whether it's the border crisis, immigration, it's the economy in general. the Biden administration seems to be failing the American public. And that comes down to, what we're going to see in 2024, which is, do you want to return to the economy and the market that you had under the president before this one? Ryan, last word.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think economics are always the top of mind issue. And Amber, my question for you is, can they switch her out? Because it seems like me that's the only viable way for Biden to really get ahead is to switch her out. I don't know if that's possible.
I think you have to switch both of them out.
Yeah, exactly.